Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. And we are here at Build 2026 live in a vast open area. And I'm here with Patrick Nikoletich from the Copilot SDK.
Yep, CLI SDK team. We're one big team because we ride on the CLI server.
Your mic is really, I can hear you better than I can hear myself. That's amazing. Yeah, fantastic. So for those of y'all watching at home, we're in this vast, what even, do you know what this was before?
No idea, honestly. It's a beautiful building, well set up, but no idea what it was.
Yeah,
before.
It looks like it's like an airplane hangar. Yeah. No, it's not wide enough, is it?
Maybe
anyway.
A boat,
Yeah, we're here.
A boatyard.
All right, so we're going to be talking about the Copilot SDK today. And this is something I've used extensively, and I love it. This is one of these things where it's specifically for developers. Like, once you see this, you'll be like, oh, man, that's amazing. Yep. I can do anything. So take us into it.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we just GA'd the SDK yesterday, which is fantastic because we've been working on it since January this year.
Just GA'd?
Just yesterday,
okay.
1.0 stable. And so we've been quietly working internally, mostly to drive up quality and also make sure teams across Microsoft's LinkedIn, Xbox, GitHub, we can all adopt the SDK and we can use a shared agentic harness together as much as possible.
Nice.
And so that journey internally is now going outward. We're GA, which means customers can use the SDK, stable, they should stick it in production, can support it in a wide array of environments, and we're here to help you put our harness in whatever solution makes sense for you.
Awesome. So do we have any demos or anything we can walk through in terms of looking at how this actually works?
Yeah,
this is one of those things where when they first told me about it, I was like, I don't get it. And then I actually used it, and I was like, well, that's incredible.
Yep. I'll show probably my favorite use case, because it's very personal.
Okay.
Even though it's the same SDK that's rolling out in things like Office Excel right now, and CoWork, and Copilot Studio, as an example. Oh, yes, I can actually bring up a quick slide to just highlight a lot of the collaboration that's been happening across literally dozens of teams, hundreds of people, all the people on the ground building these products across these different solutions we've engaged with, learned how they're trying to adopt agentic solutions and modernize using the Copilot SDK. It's been
so
wonderful.
Just to clarify, when we say Copilot SDK, what do we mean there exactly?
Yeah, so the Copilot SDK, it actually comes in 6 languages, which are right here. So there's the 4 we released at technical preview in January. There's the 2 that we've added since, which is Rust and Java. What it really is a thin client that sits over the Copilot CLI server that we've all known to grow and love over time.
Yeah.
And it's the same exact CLI server that's used in things like our GitHub Copilot app. We use the CLI very hands-on, and the SDK is yet another way to consume the CLI, but in a way where you can integrate it into custom applications.
Yeah, so the way that I thought about it was it just basically allows you to add the agent that's in the Copilot CLI to any application.
And we really mean any application too. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're doing beyond just what was shipped in GA. We are rewriting our runtime in Rust, so it can actually go in more places, more performant.
Okay.
All of those things are on the horizon and in flight.
Wait, the SDK runtime?
The SDK runtime, yes, correct. So we're making it more performant and we're optimizing it. It's another piece that I showed off yesterday during the session where we just highlight.
Was it Node originally?
It was all Node.
Yeah,
so when you talk about loading up the CLI server, it's probably 100, 120 megabytes of RAM that it's using up.
Yeah.
We're trying to shrink it to sub 10 megabytes for the most part, and we're destined to get there for the most part. We have run some earlier tests and things like that, which show the difference between Node and Rust. And even while this was a POC, it was a fully working runtime. I can actually show you in a different demo as well. But the main core outcome of that is that we just saw benefits across every performance dimension that we cared about. And then there was also the need to actually get our SDK into more platforms that require a native runtime.
Right, gotcha, interesting. Yep. That's phenomenal. I see Rust popping up in so many places now.
It is. It's a very good language for agents.
The other day I was building some of the Copilot CLI and I said, how should I build this? And it was like, I would do it in Go. And I was like, but I don't know Go. And then I remembered, that is irrelevant. The agent knows Go, and so I built the thing in Go because I could.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's really amazing is it's pushing the teams inside of GitHub to think beyond the boundaries of their experience. Fundamentally, just the environment has changed, and we recognize that probably 6 to 7 months ago, and we've been really internalizing what that means for ourselves. And so when you look at the Copilot CLI and SDK team, we fully embraced very large experiments. We fully embraced seeing what the technology can do. It's one of the luxuries that we have at GitHub to just burn a ton of tokens to really see what the limits are of the models themselves.
Best perk of the job.
Honestly, it should start as a line item in the modern era because
Seriously,
it is the biggest cheat code in general.
It doesn't become like health insurance, right? Like you have how good is your health insurance, but more importantly,
how many credits are you getting?
How many tokens do I get in this
Exactly. Mainly because you can just shorten the gap between idea to outcome.
Yeah.
And when you don't feel as token constrained, you can go test those outcomes much more.
I hate it, man. It's really, really bad when you have to, every decision you make is based on like, well, should I spend these tokens in this way? Do I really want to use Opus here? And it really constrains your productivity.
Oh, absolutely.
Do we have any demos that we can see on the SDK?
I'll show you one of the, when we shipped the technical preview, it was a technical preview, so we didn't expect it to go into like production grade applications at the time. So we saw a lot of personal assistance, and I use one of my own, of course, being that I work on the SDK.
I made one. That was one of the first things I did.
Multiple flavors, but I actually have really just been loving my current form because I'm a PM. And one of the things that's really essential to being a great PM is you have to write all the time. And so I think coding tools are awesome. They're wonderful. But really like this desire for a great way to write, deploy agents to support me in that action is where I'm currently at in my trajectory and what I'm really obsessed about day to day.
Can you show it to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because did you use this? Because we were working on something together and you did a write-up and you sent it over to me. It was like, I did a one-pager and I read through it. I was like, that's really good.
Exactly.
And you used your agent for that.
Exactly, yeah. And I call it Whim because I want everything to be at a whim, which is why, for example, I can hotkey it anywhere I am in the system. You can leave it up, you can pin it, you can resize it. But really, the core of it is that when you are thinking about being a PM and you're putting things on schedules and you're trying to really encapsulate the job that you're doing and then transform it into something that's repeatable, I only really need kind of spaces to write. I need little workers, and I need skills. If I have those three things, you can accomplish, sadly enough, a whole range of PM responsibilities. And I find that it's more fun than ever to ideate, think about the right thing to do. And so it's all canvas-based. What I mean by that, similar to what you see in the GitHub Copilot app, where we're exploring ways to render content and make it interactive, this is the inverted version of that, meaning you start with the writing canvas and you spawn all your agents out of it directly. And so what I love about this is inside...
Wait.
Yeah.
What? You're going to write up the file first and then spawn the agents
it's simpler than that.
You're not going to write anything.
I'll actually just highlight first that there's a variety of agent personas in my Win app, which allow me to, one, run my agents in ephemeral cloud environments. I can now spawn an infinite number of workers, not worry about my local machine. I can close my laptop. I can pick up and resume whenever I want. That's one version of an agent I can use. There's my development agents, where just by calling it into action, it will code for me. It will develop. It will check out repos. It will modify. It will do all of those things you would expect. And then I have my editor, which is my main agent that I use because we're always working on the content. And then the last piece is my sandbox. If I want to run something local, it's a bit dangerous, I can deploy this agent and I can let it run it in a nice, secure MXC sandbox that we shipped yesterday as well. But when it comes down to the action, right, there's intent and then there's the outcome. And normally there's a whole lot of steps in between. And in reality, what I like to do is shorten that as much as possible. And so when I think of things I need to do today, I just start building a list like most humans do. And I'm like, well, I need to triage Copilot. Should actually spell correct. Copilot SDK, GitHub issues. And then I can just say, editor deploy.
Oh, you're tagging the agent there.
I've actually put it already in motion, and I don't have to think about it any more than that. And the way that it actually shows up is you'll see it present in the document. You'll see that the session has been fired open right here. I can actually drill down into any of the chats. So as I deploy the agents across my canvas, I can actually check on what they're doing. If I care about what's happening across canvases, I can get that view as well. You get similar controls, so if I want to turn these into sessions I can remote into, I can just click a little button, it'll give me the remote link, I can dive into it from my phone so I can pick up on the go. You have, of course, things like YOLO mode, because I like to run unconstrained.
Yeah, I see it's asking you for approvals right there.
And you can continue to drill down a little bit deeper. So this idea of multi-agent orchestration, not really feeling like multi-agent orchestration, is where I think, in general, we're all headed, because there's a lot of cognitive load we're all feeling.
Oh, man.
And so when I think about the way I engage with people, how do I weave agents in to feel as normal and as common as how I communicate Day
with
in and day
people.
out. Yep.
So
Yep.
I had the same thought where it's like, I don't want a coding agent. I just want an agent
Yep.
that's everywhere that I am. So if I'm in Outlook, it's the same agent. It knows I was chatting with it about code. Now I'm chatting with it about email, right?
Exactly.
We don't need an agent just for coding.
Exactly.
But this is interesting. I've never seen a modality here that's not a chat.
And the nice thing is you can close these things out, and I rarely go into the chats anymore in this thing to begin with, because the output actually ends up back on the canvas. So I'm communicating through the canvas with the agents themselves, or they're off doing work and they'll open a PR, whatever it might be. And if I open up my Whim workspace, you'll actually see me working on Whim in Whim, where I'm like giving it bug fixes, sending it off, it's opening PRs, and it's just updating my canvas. And I think what's really beautiful about that is the record itself is being built as I'm doing the work. And so at any point in time, I can reflect back on that, I can roll that up, and I've already encapsulated what I've been doing and how it's been done.
Man, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
There's so much, like, the thing that's so irritating right now with AI is there's so many people talking about their like I have, I got OpenClaw and it's running everything in my life, and you're like, well, what's it doing?
Yep.
And they're like, everything.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, but what? And they're like, all of it.
Yeah. It's fun though,
It's like, But then you're like, but I don't know what all of it is.
Yep.
But so it's interesting to see like how you're actually using it. You know what I mean? Like it does feel like it's snake oil sometimes to
It
me.
does. Yeah,
where
absolutely.
people are like, I use it to automate my job, but they can't tell you what exactly it is that they're doing.
Yep.
There's so much of that going around.
A little semblance to a few other industries in that light, in terms of making sure that we ground it in real use cases. They're easy to communicate. People understand them. I think that's really important because the technology is very generalized. Yeah.
100% agree, but often you have to build your own
100%.
in order to realize that, and that's what the SDK allows you to do.
Oh, definitely. And to build something like this, it used to be a tremendous amount of work, and now you can spend a weekend talking to your agent and get a whole lot of distance. And we continue to pack more capabilities in the SDK that make all of this just tremendously much easier. So things like remote didn't exist until a few weeks ago. The ephemeral sandboxes in the cloud is yet again another way for you to break free of some of the constraints that are available locally.
Can everybody use those now?
Yes. We ship them. The cloud sandboxes are in preview, but they are available. They're in there and they can be used, as well as local sandboxes were shipped in preview today or yesterday as well.
Yeah. So again, for those watching online, those are here of you who are here. Like, if you're interested in how can an agent how can I use AI to do something actually useful? I would absolutely start here and use the Copilot SDK, if you have a sub, to build your own personal assistant, to do what you need to do. Forget about what everybody else is doing. Forget about installing something that's just going to magically work out of the box. Build your own that works the way that you want to work, and start just trying to automate the simple things that you're doing throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, for me, that was the most transformative thing, was when I built my own that works how I work.
And I think it's like you're getting at a really interesting insight, probably one of the greatest, which is that we all have to build intuition for how the models perform and they behave. Similar to when you engage with a person, you're trying to understand the nuances of other person themselves. And trust is built over time. And then that intuition scales across models. You can understand how to deploy them and leverage them. But it's really important to dive deep, and that's why I love starting with Copilot CLI. It's like the simplest way to go straight into a model, get a very pure experience. You can scale that up through the GitHub Copilot app, which will give you cross-session, multi-agent orchestration. But I think diving in and really understanding the parts and the bits using the SDK will help you go an extra distance that's truly valuable.
And there's something that's so rewarding about building your own agent. Even though it is the CLI harness, but because mine's called Max, and Max is like I have a repertoire with Max. I know Max. Max knows me. That's probably some sort of psychosis, isn't it?
A little bit.
I need help.
I mean, you have to lean in a little bit to the psychosis to embrace the capabilities that are available there. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, Patrick, one question for you.
Sure.
What's your go-to model? What's going on behind the scenes here? Which one are you going?
GPT 5.5 these days has honestly been really great, and I was somebody that sat on Sonnet and Opus models for almost a couple years at this point. But I find there was a nice balance, especially between the two classes of models. And so I'm a big, let one model do the implementation, let one model verify. You get a nice mixture of answers and responses to balance it out. They all have different training data and inputs that help them decide what the right thing is to do. And so I find GPT 5.5 is really great, especially for reviews. Still love Opus for generating code as well, but I've started to use GPT 5.5 pretty much exclusively the last few weeks or so.
So I've had the exact same experience. I just recently posted about this, but I'm mostly on 5.5 now. Opus, to me, still use that for like design and creative thinking, but for implementation and actually executing, I'm a 5.5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Patrick, thanks you so much for being here. You got any other sessions?
I do. It's 4 to 5. We're giving a Copilot SDK session where we'll talk a little bit more about the great work we've been doing across Microsoft, what's going on right now.
Where is that? Is that here in this?
Should be in Breakout 1.
Breakout 1.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So if you want to know more about the SDK, Breakout 1 at
4 o'clock today.
4 o'clock today. All right. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Burke.
Thanks for being here.
Cheers.
All right. We'll be right back.